Early Mornings with Ricardo Hammonds. Hello, guys. My name is Ricardo Hammonds. Today we'll be discussing three issues or topics that's based on the novel Kindred. And yeah, this is the introduction page. This is Octavia Butler, the creator of this wonderful novel. This is her most famous novel by far. Out of as many novels as she's created, by far. It's being taught in several schools and colleges in order to get a better understanding and a better context of our past and how the past affects our current future and how it affects everyday people like Dana. So we'll be moving on to our first topic, which is racism. Um, Forgot to introduce our guest star, Noah Ingram. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be here. So, yeah,
Yep, this is Noah Ingram.
lovely place you have here.
Well, thank you. Even though we're probably a few, 30 miles apart. Anyway, we'll be discussing racism and how it affects each of the characters throughout the story. We'll be beginning with Dana. So, what are your impressions of Dana, Noah?
Well, Dana is a strong, independent black woman. Uh, and simply put, is that she's a modern woman. She deals with her day-to-day struggles. Of what black people went through. Being discriminated against, stuff like that. But not as the same degree as a slave would have. She never experienced something like that, but
Yeah, she never experienced it
you know,
until she actually got to experience it,
so exactly.
which wasn't necessarily a good thing. It's not a gift.
But
Her ability is more of a curse than a gift. It allows her to go back into the past, or maybe it wasn't even the past at all. Who knows? At that eerie vibe. So Dana, right? Racism. She's incredibly affected by racism because she is black and she is in the 1800s, and she's susceptible to all kinds of everything that a person is susceptible to: being caught, being captured at any point, being turned into a slave, being sold, all the above. And the same thing with Alice. Actually, racism affects her and her encounters with Rufus. Then we'll be moving on to Tom Whalen. Tom Whalen is like the racist. You have any comments, Noah?
well, Tom Whalen certainly does benefit from these people being slaves. I would say from the racism that's going around. It's just simply due to he's on a higher pedestal, and he has more rights during this time period, and um,
He definitely does have more rights. Um, because he is white and he is in the 1800s, where the white race is the most dominant and prominent role, prominent race compared to the black people who were property. That's all they were. That's all they were seen as by society. Um, Same thing with Rufus. Rufus is Tom Whalen's son, so he has pretty much access to the same types of stuff that Tom Whalen has access to because he's white, and because he is also a man, so that also brings him higher up in the sexual chain. Rufus um abuses rights his white rights to, well, I mean, it's not really abusing if it's legal, so he's really using it to a detrimental extent. His racism, his power and ability to control over others, and this is brought by our next slide. Rape. He rapes Alice, as many of you listening to this may know. um he does rape her, and it is rape because she did not exactly give consent at all. She does not want this to happen. um
she was
Rape.
forced to.
Exactly.
since she's a slave, she has no rights whatsoever, and gotta do what master tells you.
Or else you get the whip, or you get you die. You get the whip, or you die. No, I was uh. That's pretty much the
But
two
yeah,
options that he gave her: get the whip or get death. Now we'll be
you know,
moving on to rape culture.
this wait, this can be seen, today. It's kind of like men can't be raped, or she was. You saw Tasha over there, fully dressed. She was showing some ankle. She was asking for it.
Ankle,
Things like that.
man.
That
Exactly.
sexy
She
ankle.
she asked for it, just showing the teeny tiniest bit of shoulder. Oh my god, dude, she's screaming, "Just rape me!" And that's rape culture. By the way, we do not condone a rape culture, nor am I a rapist. I can't speak for Noah, but I'm not a rapist.
Huh? Hansel. I'm certainly not a rapist.
Okay,
But
that's good. That's good that we've got that off the plate. Um, so another thing is showing dominance, like roles. So manhood is seen as dominant, and womanhood and women the idea of being a woman is seen as being submissive. And so you see this in a lot of fantasy novels, like 50 Shades of Grey or something like that. Actually, 50 Shades of Grey is not a good example. Never mind. You see this in a lot of fantasy where the guy, the buff dude, pushes the girl up against the wall and starts feeling on her violently and stuff like that. And girls like some girls like that. And I'm not saying all girls like that, but some girls like to be dominated and be essentially put into their place, and that's what they feel like they should be. They feel like their place as a woman is to be weak and is to be submissive. And I'm not a feminist, but I do see how a lot of people can be affected by this, and I don't think that everybody should just blindly follow the rules of society. Moving on to character development. I'll be discussing Dana and Alice on this talk show regarding character development. So, do you have any impressions, Noah, of like Alice as a character, developing throughout the story?
Alice, when we first see Alice, Alice is a sweet, young, innocent girl, exposed to her father's beating and racism, but for the most part, it was survivable. Not the most ideal, not the position you want to be in, but she had those okay, for that time. Also she was free. Later on, after seeing Alice after a few years, she's met this man, and she fell in love. But we all know our favorite character, Rufus, could not stand it at all. So he tries to take on the guy, but that's for another time. But mainly character development wise, is that Alice was on the way, a path to happiness. She met this man she loves, and she was ready to start a family. Go somewhere, but she just some way through, she just mess up, gets bought by and becomes a slave, and that's basically when all the happiness she had at that point just went down the drain.
Gone.
Just
Vanished. Like, I mean, it's like she's at this point in her life where it's like everything's going fine. I mean, I at this moment, pre-slave, before the slavery, she's like, I could be a slave, but no, I'm living on my life. I have a husband, and I'm happy with my life right now. I want to have children with this man. She has she's at, I'd say, the pinnacle of the life that we know. Very happy, very free, and when that all gets ripped away from her, like it's devastating. It's like, I was happy at one point, and now it's just no, and then it spirals downhill from there. There's just nothing but bad things happening after that. Would you like to elaborate on some of those bad things going on?
Sure. I would love to. Of course, first part being mangled by dogs.
Yeah, that's
Um,
one definitely.
Turn bit by bit. Then also, being raped by Rufus.
Oh yeah,
At
that's
that point,
yeah.
she like she could, she couldn't refuse the fact that Rufus could kill her on the spot if she refuses, or do something else. But did. She, was like, "Hey, I gotta do it. I don't want to, but I have to, for my sake and for everybody else's sake." And she does, bear children with Rufus, and
Mm-hmm.
that becomes her new her new happiness.
Yeah, her new refound
So
happiness, her
one,
new way to, exert energy into her children where she did not want to exert energy into Rufus. Her happiness and everything she was bottling up. Um, it's just being converted into energy and love and compassion for her children, and she just wants to express that to her children. And she does get to do this for a brief moment until Rufus shatters that happiness um, and delivers some just very repulsive news. Would you like to explain what that news is?
well, he's um after a failed attempt by Alice to run away, he was like, "Hey, Alice, you know what? I sold our children, and you're not gonna see them again. So that's what you get."
Good job.
And
don't leave me again.
yeah, and so with that, Alice is like, "Hey, I thought I'd have happiness again, but apparently not. So, in my suffering, I'll kill myself." So
Yeah,
she
that's
decides.
basically what happened. Alice is like, okay, you stripped me of my only source of happiness. This is all I had. This is all the little life I had to grab onto, and just poof, gone. I mean, now I'm grabbing onto nothing but a rope around my neck. That's all I'm grabbing onto. And then I let that go, just like everything else in my life. That was from the point of view of Alice. So I like how I turned that around. Like that was nice. Um, now we're gonna talk about Dana. A little bit of a lighter note. She was 26 when she was moving into with her husband, Kevin. He's white, as many of you know. And she gets teleported to this magical. Magical is not really a word to describe it. It's just another world where it's not really a place that she's used to being in. She's black, but she's not used to being black in that area. She's not used to the ideas and traits that come along with being black, especially in that time period. And she was black before, obviously, but she wasn't submerged in the extremely oppressive culture that was being a slave. Um, you wanna add anything? No.
Well, of course. Well, since Dana is brought to this time and by Rufus, she will have to cooperate with him since he is the main reason she's coming back, and she needs to make sure that her one of her ancestors are born. Rufus's child Edgar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Edgar
Hagar.
is born.
Mm-hmm.
Hagar is born, and with that, she just has to adjust to this culture. She has to adjust to being a slave. Being in the role of a slave,
Which is not
which
a
many
which
people,
is mm-hmm.
many people, you know, don't ever go through. You can talk about slavery. You can express your views upon slavery. You can show photos of slavery, but you will never know what slavery feels like until you're actually put in that position.
Like
And that is
Dana.
what Dana was put into.
Yes. And that's pretty much describing a large portion of the novel. She lives out her life, well, not she didn't live out the rest of her life, but she lived about a year or so in that alternate, or it was not really an alternate reality. Or who knows? It might be an alternate reality. It is a reality. That's the point, and that she lives through that reality because it is real, just like anything else in her life. She can touch and grab and get whipped by that slave driver, and just like that, she came home and she felt the stings. It wasn't a dream, it was actually real, and everything. And at the end, well, progressing throughout the novel, she starts off as curious and excited and wanting to get back into the adventure at every aching moment. But then it's always like, no, please, please, I'm begging you, whoever's controlling this power, please do not bring me back to that place. Please just leave me be. I do not want to go back and be submerged in that oppressive culture. I do not want to be a slave. Please. She has no choice. She goes back anyway, constantly, again and again and again, until Hagar's born. And at that point, she doesn't really need to be there anymore. And at that point, around that time period, she finds out Alice is dead. Hagar's born. Only person that's left is Rufus. And soon, that will not even be the case anymore. He ends up dying by the hands of Dana with a knife. And her arm goes. Her arm's gone. It's more. I view the arm loss as like a symbolism thing. It's like, I lost my arm because I gained the knowledge of what it means to be a slave. That's how I see it. It reminds her every day.
Souvenir.
Exactly, a souvenir. It's kind of a messed up souvenir, but
Right? You get your arm taken. Hey, you remember this?
yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to forget. It's like, how did I lose my arm? It's like, I don't know. Oh, right, I was a slave. Yeah, can't forget that one. So these are my works cited.
Yep.
Thank all of you for listening for however long this was. This may have been too long, but we got our points across, hopefully. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. Or Noah. He's also available to assist. These are my works cited. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Have a nice day.